International Fund for Compensation for Oil Pollution Damage. Background and establishment of the IOPC funds. The Convention on the Establishment of an International Fund for Compensation for Oil Pollution Damage, Fund, was adopted on December 18, 1971 under the auspices of the International Maritime Organization. This convention was created to supplement the 1969 Civil Liability Convention, which provided compensation for oil pollution damage caused by tankers but had limitations in coverage. The Fund Convention ensured that victims of oil spills could receive additional compensation when the CLC proved inadequate, either because the compensation was insufficient or because the shipowner was unable to pay, example, due to insolvency or legal exemptions. Additionally, the fund provided financial relief to shipowners who faced excessive liabilities under the CLC, provided they complied with international safety and pollution prevention standards. The 1992 protocol later replaced the 1971 Fund Convention, establishing the 1992 International Oil Pollution Compensation Fund, IOPC Fund. This new fund, managed by a secretariat in London, increased compensation limits and refined liability rules. The 2000 protocol formally terminated the 1971 Fund Convention, fully transitioning to the 1992 system. Structure and functions. IOPC funds. The International Oil Pollution Compensation Funds, IOPC funds, operate as independent intergovernmental organizations, separate from the IMO and the United Nations, though they follow similar procedural frameworks. Their primary role is to provide compensation for oil pollution damage resulting from tanker spills, covering pollution damage in the territory, territorial sea, and exclusive economic zone, EEZ, of member states. Preventive measures taken by governments, even outside their jurisdiction, to mitigate pollution risks. Financial assistance to states threatened by oil spills, helping fund for cleanup and containment efforts. Under the 1992 Fund Convention, the maximum compensation per incident is 135 million SDR. However, if 3 member states each receive more than 600 million tons of oil annually, this limit increases to 203 million SDR. Supplementary Fund. The 2003 Protocol, entry into force on March 3, 2005. The protocol establishing an International Oil Pollution Compensation Supplementary Fund was adopted by a diplomatic conference held at IMO headquarters in London. The aim of the established fund is to supplement the compensation available under the 1992 Civil Liability and Fund Conventions with an additional third tier of compensation. The protocol is optional and participation is open to all states parties to the Fund Convention. The total amount of compensation payable for any one incident will be limited to a combined total of 750 million SDR, including the amount of compensation paid under the existing CLC and Fund Convention. The supplementary fund will apply to damage in the territory, including the territorial sea, of a contracting state and in the exclusive economic zone of a contracting state. Annual contributions to the fund will be made in respect of each contracting state, which has received total quantities of oil exceeding 150,000 tons. However, for the purposes of the protocol, there is a minimum aggregate receipt of 1 million tons of contributing oil in each contracting state. The establishment of IOPC funds and IMO. Although the IOPC funds were established under conventions adopted under the auspices of IMO, they are completely independent legal entities. Unlike IMO, the IOPC funds are not United Nations agencies and are not part of the UN system. However, only states can become members of the IOPC funds. To become a member of the IOPC fund, a state must accede to the Civil Liability Convention and to the Fund Convention. These conventions should be incorporated into the national law of the state concerned. The 2 intergovernmental organizations, the Fund and the Supplementary Fund, which together form the International Oil Pollution Compensation Funds, IOPC funds, were established in 1996 and 2005 respectively. The Supplementary Fund was established to supplement the compensation available under the 1992 Civil Liability and Fund Conventions with an additional third tier of compensation. However, membership of the Supplementary Fund is optional. The 1992 Fund and the Supplementary Fund share a joint secretariat based in London. The operation of the IOPC funds is governed by the Fund Convention and the Supplementary Fund Protocol. In order to implement the conventions, the fund's governing bodies have adopted or approved a number of resolutions, regulations, and other documents for the smooth operation in a transparent manner. The status of ratification of various conventions or protocols are displayed for better understanding of the viewers. Thank you for watching the video. For more marine topics, please subscribe the channel. Please help us with your valuable feedback to improve the contents.